Welcome to But Frankly Pierce News. I'm Arthur Fairview, and here's what we're facing. We begin with the elephant in the room.
We need to acknowledge the elephant in the room. Francine, happy birthday.
The failed former president's legal woes continue and are now getting much more serious. 2.5 years have passed since the insurrection of January 6th, 2021.
2 years, 6 months, and 20 days, to be precise.
It's important to be precise. Now back to what you were saying.
Thank you. Yet investigators are still piecing together the breadth of that attempt to derail the transfer of power. It wasn't a singular plan, but in fact, many disparate schemes led by distinct groups of advisors who embraced increasingly fringe strategies and were not always working in harmony. Like a titanic beast, each arm of the effort was held together by one core lie, with failed former president at the center, that the election was stolen. Each tentacle has faced withering scrutiny from Smith's investigators, who may ask federal grand jury any day now to approve criminal charges tied to the failed former president's election subversion, mere weeks after Smith charged him in a separate case for hoarding classified documents. With the target letter sent by special counsel Jack Smith, we know there's a major indictment imminent related to the January 6th insurrection.
Yes, this is all good stuff, but we know this already.
Is there anything new?
Well, sort of.
Is that it?
No, there's more. You see?
Both Georgia Governor Brian Kemp and former Arizona Governor Doug Ducey were both contacted by special counsel Jack Smith as part of their ongoing investigation into the failed former president's attempt to overturn the 2020 election.
Oh, okay. That's a new wrinkle.
Yes, and as I said, we are expecting a formal indictment at any time. And with the grand jury reconvening tomorrow, any time could be sooner than we think. Now, speaking of time,
Wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey.
May 20th, believe it or not, is an interesting day in our history. On that day in 1862, President Abraham Lincoln signed the Homestead Act, giving an applicant freehold title to up to 160 acres of undeveloped federal land outside the original 13 colonies. On May 20th, 1927, Charles Lindbergh took off from Roosevelt Field on Long Island on his way to his historic flight across the Atlantic. Also on May 20th, 1956, the first hydrogen bomb dropped from an aircraft is exploded by America over Bikini Atoll in the South Pacific.
And speaking of dropping bombs,
after a request from the defense to postpone the trial until after the 2024 election, U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon has set May 20th, 2024 as the date for the failed former president's trial for hiding and refusing to give up classified national security documents.
Not what I'd hoped for, but then again, not giving away the store to the defense either.
so how is this going to play out now?
Difficult to say, but with the complexities involved, the quantity of classified evidence, and Cannon's lack of experience in such a case could contribute to lingering delays and headaches for prosecutors. Now some good news. Marjorie Taylor Greene is now part of an ad campaign promoting President Biden's re-election.
Wait, what's this now?
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley.
It's true. The original Karen was trying to call out Biden on the things he has done while on stage in Turning Points USA, but made the error of calling out policies that the majority of Americans support. With some clever editing, President Biden was pleased to approve of her message. Take a look.
Joe Biden had the largest public investment in social infrastructure and environmental programs that is actually finishing what FDR started, that LBJ expanded on, and Joe Biden is attempting to complete programs to address education, medical care, urban problems, rural poverty, transportation, Medicare, Medicaid, labor unions, and he still is working on it.
Next up, Florida's Board of Education has approved new guidelines for teachers on how Black American history should be taught.
I can just imagine.
Among the new guidelines for educators are benchmark clarifications, including one for middle school students that states instruction includes how slaves developed skills, which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. And high school students will learn that victims of violence and massacres were also perpetrators.
You're joking, right?
Please tell us you are joking.
I wish I was. The danger of this narrative is striking. A system that brutalized, raped, and killed human beings while stealing their freedom and denying their humanity is rotten to its core. That enslaved people were able to find resilience and build lives in some form is a testament to their courage and spirit. Regardless of what some people might be saying these days, there is no other side to the story of slavery.
How did these dumbasses enslave us?
But that specific piece of instruction in the 216-page document is only part of a much larger political project. Taken as a whole, the Florida Social Studies curriculum describes a world in which the white male founders of the United States embraced ideals of liberty and equality, ideals it falsely attributes primarily to Christianity rather than the Enlightenment, and indicates the country's leaders never faltered from those ideals. The Board of Education approved the new teaching guidelines for kindergarten through high school, and Florida's Education Commissioner, Manny Diaz Jr., said that the guidelines go into the tougher subjects of slavery and racist violence as appropriate by age.
Appropriate by age?
Yeah, that sounds pretty nebulous.
Diaz said nothing was removed, including what we continue to say was the good, the bad, and the ugly. While Vice President Kamala Harris was in Florida, she had this to say on the subject.
They want to replace history with lies. Middle school students in Florida to be told that enslaved people benefited from slavery. High schoolers may be taught that victims of violence, of massacres, were also perpetrators. I said it yesterday. They insult us in an attempt to gaslight us, and we will not have it. And we will not have it.
Now, if this isn't bad enough, Florida has turned to Prager U for conservative and at times borderline fictional content to aid in their indoctrination of youth. Created by conservative talk show host Dennis Prager, Prager U's 5-minute ideas videos have become an indispensable propaganda device for the right. The Southern Poverty Law Center warned on its blog, citing the videos like Blacks in Power Don't Empower Blacks, hosted by the Wall Street Journal columnist Jason Riley, who is Black. Lawrence Rosenthal, chair of the Berkeley Center for Right-Wing Studies, says he has noticed an impact from Prager U's content. It sits on this border between going off a cliff into conspiracy thinking and extreme kinds of prejudices in the name of anti-political correctness. Here's an example of their take on slavery, hosted by Candace Owens, a conservative commentator who started Blexit, an effort to get Black voters to leave the Democratic Party.
I see where this is going.
Just like we hear nothing about how slavery was universal until good people in Europe and America ended it 2 centuries ago. Why? Because our so-called leaders, Black and white, wouldn't profit from it. Black victimhood is nothing if not profitable. It elects politicians and funds racial grievance groups.
Is this a legitimate university?
Despite the name, Prager U is not an academic institution, does not hold classes, does not grant certifications or diplomas, and is not accredited by any recognized body. Also, since a lawsuit over the use of a photograph in 2013, Prager U has used animation in its videos.
I'll take that as a big no.
And now we turn to the world of the unlikely and bizarre with...
The deuce, you say?
There is a fugitive on the loose. No. An otter in California is on the run from local and federal authorities, wanted for aggressively confronting locals, stealing surfboards at a popular beach. But its outlaw status has turned the slippery sea otter into an international icon, with growing support to leave her in the wild. The 5-year-old female otter known officially as Otter 841 has been deemed a public safety risk by the state and federal wildlife officials because of her unusually aggressive behavior along the Santa Cruz coast. As a result, wildlife officials and Monterey Bay Aquarium staff are attempting to capture and rehome the otter to an aquarium or a zoo. But support for a live and let live approach is growing with each unsuccessful attempt. There are several petitions circulating online in support of 841's freedom, one of which has gathered over 50,000 signatures. The otter's antics have become a viral sensation in recent weeks, generating a multitude of memes shared across social media platforms. Santa Cruz's Most Wanted even has an Instagram fan page, @TheSurfingOtter, home to a series of parody images, including one that compares Otter 841 to Batman in Christopher Nolan's 2008 film, The Dark Knight. She's the hero Santa Cruz deserves, but not the one it needs right now. So we'll hunt her, because she can take it. Because she's not our hero. She's a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark knight. However, the agencies charged with catching 841 have maintained their stance that capturing and rehoming her is best for the otter and humans alike.
Close encounters of the otter kind.
Utterly unbelievable.
Well, take a look for yourself.
Are you kidding? How's this going to work out? No way. Dude, this isn't going to be... That's an epic chip. It ain't budging.
Dude, some totally unchill behavior caught on camera here in Santa Cruz. A surfer tries and fails to get his board back from a territorial sea otter. He tries to splash a little bit, but, you know, they're accustomed to water, these otters, so he's unfazed. Finally, a second surfer comes to the rescue, and just when you think it's over, it's not. Look at the otter. It's chasing both of them.
That is so funny.
It's utterly unbelievable.
It has been 931 days since the January 6th attack on the Capitol and our democracy, and the failed former president has still not been indicted or charged with anything related to the insurrection. Watch this space. This has been But Frankly Pierce News. Thanks for watching. I'm Arthur Fairview. What about the time we spent in '69? You're in a great position to be here.
Thank you.